Welcome to another episode of the Gritty Hour. Today I have a phone a friend, very special guest, a childhood friend of mine. We both grew up in the Bronx together. Timmy Leary. How you doing, Timmy? Welcome to the Gritty Hour.
Hey Tom, thanks for having me, pal. I now know you've either gone to the bottom of the barrel or you want to have a little beefcake on, and you have me on the phone, which I know you're trying to attract the ladies to the broadcast.
Yeah, having you on the video would be way too much for people.
Well, I come on the you don't want the women clamoring outside the door.
Well,
I understand.
In full disclosure, Timmy and I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and the sound quality wasn't exceptional. So I'm sure the sound quality is not exceptional this time either. But Timmy, this is how I roll. You know what I mean?
Well, I told you to fire that guy. I know it's hard to fire a guy you've known for very many years, but
yeah. Well, he sounds like me, and unfortunately for him, he looks like me too.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. I listen, Tommy. When we were hanging around, rock and rolling, there was a guy that used my face at night all the time in the bars and the pubs.
Yeah, the guy that got drunk all the time.
Make a ruckus, and I would get blamed for it. I said, "It's not me. It's that guy. He looks just like me." But I'm telling you, I must have an evil twin that was separated at birth, and I don't know what happened.
For a few decades, there were many women hide behind fire hydrants.
Well, if they showed up to hide behind a fire hydrant.
Yeah, well. So I'm going to try what we did the last time, the one that we didn't. I'm going to throw, so people watching us on YouTube, if you're listening to us, you're not missing much. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to throw a picture of you up there, Timmy.
Yeah, fine, but stop putting the booze one up. Put the good one up.
Well, I got a specific order, you know. So I got to go with what I got here.
I get it. So, I should have sent you. I should have sent you pictures.
Yeah, Well, we don't think ahead. If we thought ahead, we'd be way ahead of the game by now.
It doesn't matter.
No.
If we knew exactly, if we knew what we were doing, Tommy, we'd be dangerous, right?
So right now, I'm showing the picture with you got shades on and you got the vodka bottle in your hand.
Oh, that's a good one.
It represents a lot. Yeah.
Oh well, it's kind of a. I was doing that ironically because I don't really drink. So I was kind of doing that ironically to
yes.
show how.
Here's to all you people that actually drink. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to tell people to.
So
watch themselves.
We did touch on the Lost Honeymooners episode. We did touch on growing up in the Bronx, which we were both fortunate enough to have grown up in the Bronx, in the Parkchester area. And you agreed with me at the time that we were blessed to grow up there. Which
100%, 100%, Tommy. It was, I tell people all the time, listen, all the neighborhoods in those days, I won't say all because I wasn't in all of them, had their own little kind of their own ecosystem, we all knew each other. We all had different, the good thing about Parkchester was that we hung around with our own guys, our own age, but the group would group up in certain times of the day or evening, and everybody from different age groups were together, so we got to know all different people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The older guys and the younger guys. The older guys looked out for the younger guys, but they also kept the younger guys in line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, some let us astray, but that's fine. That happens too. And it was great, man. We had no. I'm not going to say we had no locks on our front door, but we had no locks in the lobby for sure.
Yeah.
We had a lot of freedom only because our parents all worked, and we were basically I was on my own. I guess my mom went back to work when I was 6 or 7.
She worked at the bank, right?
At the end of started out South Brooklyn on next to the Louis American, and they changed it in 1976. They changed it to the Independence Bank for obvious reasons. It was our 200th anniversary, the country. And she worked there until she passed in 2014. So I want to say she retired in, I want to say 2008, 2009. So she worked there a good 30 years.
Yeah, I was still on Wall Street. In fact, she was a client of mine, so I know.
Oh yeah,
it had to have been in the mid 2000s.
She was born in 22, Met.
Yeah.
You know, in the Oval.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandparents, her parents, Tom and Esther, were one of the first residents in Parkchester when they after it was a Catholic protectorate, and then Metropolitan Life bought it and took it over.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she never left. I had to try to move her out a few times, and she was not having it. She said, "I lived here. I was born here. I'm going to die here." And she, unfortunately, she passed in her apartment where she loved it. I mean, everybody knew her, you know, from the bank and from just growing up there. And she always felt safe, even though once she did get mugged back in '94. But she always felt comfortable. But she walked. She didn't drive. And you know, Parkchester is a walking community.
You didn't have to have a car. You lived in Parkchester.
You didn't need a car. Yeah. Well, it was a self-contained community, Tom, as you know.
For the most part, yeah.
It had the grocery stores. It had bowling alleys. It had the movie theaters, churches. You had the St. Helena's on one end and St. Raymond's on the other end.
And your pop was the tender of bar right across from the building where you lived, no?
Exactly. He was there down the block, the White Gander. I was up a little further, like a half a block.
Yeah,
my mother tells me the story that when they were moving in, because back then you needed a recommendation from somebody, which my grandparents did. And there was 2 apartments available. One was on 2049 McGraw, which I ended up at. And one was above Macy's, you know, those buildings above Macy's on the, I guess they were facing Metropolitan Avenue.
Uh-huh.
But my mom said their window was right on the roof of Macy's.
Wow.
And she didn't like that. She didn't like that because, you know, that's kind of even back in 1964, there was an invitation for someone breaking into the house, you know.
Yeah.
So plus my old man was looking. My old man always, God rest him, Big Jim Leary. He kind of did his real estate acumen was basically how far I got to walk to get to a pub, you know. And McGraw was definitely advantageous because right past the White Candy, you had Tanner Steakhouse, the Green Dragon, the Potbelly Pub. You had Goonins.
The Welcome Inn. Well, I think that at that time it was probably called the Copper Kettle, right?
Barrett's was the Copper Kettle.
Yeah, and
Potbelly Pub was always the Potbelly Pub, and Goonins ended up being Sally and Henry's, and then ended up being the Unicorn.
Oh, that's right, the Unicorn. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And you had also Mr. Christian's. Mm-hmm. And Starling Avenue, you had the Charlie Brown's. You remember Charlie Brown's up on 30?
Yes.
There was and Splinters. I mean, Tommy, I tell the people from Woodlawn, you guys have been Bainbridge. You're nothing on us. We had bars up and down Westchester and Castle Hill.
Well, we used to have more Irish than they have in Woodlawn, too, at the time in Parkchester.
Oh, 100%. Well, it's a bigger community also than Woodlawn. Woodlawn's more of a confined area.
Yeah. Well,
Woodlawn, God bless them, there's still strong Irish up there. But,
you told a funny story. The last time we were, when we did the Lost episode,
the Lost episode, I feel that.
When I learn how to mix sound and whatever, I'll figure out how to. But anyway, I was mentioning to you that because I had 3 older brothers and sisters, or 3 older brothers, excuse me, and 2 older sisters, but all the bartenders went to school with my brothers. So when I was 6,
and all those guys,
the statute of limitations is up. I can say I was drinking in the bars since I was 16.
We were doing it, Tommy. We too. We all did 16, 15, 16 bars.
And well, that's the thing. You were telling me a funny story about.
Oh, my father. So my old man was a banker by trade. After he came out of the Navy. He worked in John Hancock Insurance, and then he worked at the American Savings Bank. But he always had the bartender on the side.
Was he in the Navy during the Korean War?
He was right after Tom. He was in from 58 to 61.
Oh, okay.
But it's funny, before I tell the bar story, when my mom passed, I was going through her things up in Parkchester, and I found these letters always in her, what do you call it, her bureau. She had the mirror, you know, they go for what female's bureau. I don't know. Can we say female? I know the Supreme Court justice doesn't know what a woman is, but
anyway. I'm pretty sure she identified as a woman. Your mother.
My mother did. Actually, no, she was gonna go trans, but she stayed as a woman. My mom, thank God. We had a whole big discussion about that. Anyway, so no, sorry, Mom, I'm only kidding. So she had a bunch of letters in a blue ribbon, a very dainty blue ribbon. And they were basically from my father because they hadn't met. They didn't know each other from them. My father's from Archer. My father grew up on 177th by St. Lawrence and over that way.
Oh
So
yeah, by Soundview.
By 102.
Mm-hmm.
PS 102. He went to St. Anthony's Grammar School on Mansion Street.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there were letters from my father. They met when he was his last year in the Navy. They met through a mutual friend, Rita Zimmerman, who actually ended up being my mother's best maid of honor.
Yeah.
And so basically, they're writing letters. He was writing letters to her, obviously, and obviously I didn't see the letters she wrote to him. Oh, very, nothing tawdry, which I was a little disappointed. But anyway, so
you don't want to hear the tawdry crap anyway.
Well, no, I listen. My mom.
Not with your own parents. Come on.
I wasn't. No, my father was very respectful. At first, it's the first 10 letters were, it was nice to meet you,
Yeah.
And then after like the 10th letter, I don't know what happened. I guess he was up and down because he was on his last. He was basically on his way out, and he was stationed in Philadelphia at the time. He was out of Newport. He was on a destroyer.
Oh yeah.
Overseas, he was patrolling the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
But basically his last year was in Philly.
We weren't invaded during his term, so.
Well, what happened was, it's funny. I mean, that's why I'm getting to this, because but like one of the last letters that she sent, it was about 25 letters, very short, 2-page letters,
Uh-huh.
My father said, I really can't wait to be with you, but all what do you call it? All discharges have been suspended because of the
Cuban Missile Crisis. Oh.
That Kennedy was keeping everybody in. He wasn't letting anybody retire or leave.
Uh-huh.
Until they figure out what was going on.
Right.
So the best system, you're going to love this, Tommy, because I know how you are. You're the same as me when it comes to America. He says, I really want to get out and come and be with you. But I'm telling you right now, it was great. My father, I can hear my father saying this. We will kick the crap out of those commies if we have to. It was great. He didn't say shit. He didn't curse. He just said, we will kick the crap out of those commies when we have to.
Well, he didn't know your mother well enough yet to say shit.
I loved it, man. It was so cool, man.
That's funny.
You tell him, Pop.
Well, God bless his service, yeah.
He was a good man. My father, he was a good man. So anyway, so my father, he always had the bartending or the limousine, drove limos on the side. He ended up actually starting his own company. So I used to sweep up for him when I was out of school or if I was on the weekends, since I was a kid, since I was like 7 or 8, really.
At closing time or just during the day, you do a sweep at a bar?
Yeah, well, that was off school. I didn't come from school to do it, but, just sweep the back room. And, where we go behind the bar with the boards. Well, they actually had the wooden boards. You bartended the wooden boards. You had to pick up the boards and sweep under. So anyway, these two guys come in. It was like a Friday evening, I guess. And my father's bartender. And they were definitely underage. I mean, I was 13. I knew they were underage,
Uh-huh.
So my father goes, "What are you guys having?" So this is when the age was 18 years old.
Right.
So being 16 wasn't terrible, I guess. It wasn't that bad.
No, but you said they look younger, even younger than that, right?
Yeah, so they were young. So my father goes, "What are you having?" So the first kid says a beer. "I'll have a draft beer, sir." And then so he says, "Sir," so right away they're kids. And then the other kid says, "I'll have a brandy Alexander." So my father looks straight in the eye. He goes, "Hey, does your father know you're gay?" So my father goes, "All right, fellas, let's go. Get out. You can't drink it here. You're too young." So the other guy says to him, "I told you to order a beer."
That's
if
funny.
If they ordered 2 beers, my old man would have served them.
Yeah.
But because it was loosey-goosey back then too, Tom.
Well, the White Gander is where he worked, right?
He bartended at the White Gander.
As I recall, that was what we called an old man bar, right? There was a lot of World War II vets in there.
It was a lot of, it was a lot of veterans. There was a lot of guys from World War II.
Korean War,
Korean, Vietnam guys, because that was the era.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, late 70s, Vietnam had just ended, really, right? 75, 76.
Yeah, mid-70s, 74, 75,
Yeah. So, no, it was a great place to go up, Tom.
But that's funny.
My father, they looked for a house. They actually were going to buy a house up in Bronx Neck when I was a kid, but I think my father's mom, Grandma Leary, wanted to come, and my mother's like, "Nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen." So I don't know. That was it. We never left.
Yeah.
My father passed away in the apartment. My mother passed away in the apartment. So
that's the thing about Parkchester. The funny thing about Parkchester, you know, I think I have a picture of Parkchester over here somewhere. The thing about Parkchester is, as big as it was, you could know everybody, at least in you.
We know guys from the east. I mean, the McCarthy's were from the east, technically.
Well, Parkchester's divvied up into 4 quadrants, right?
South, east, and west.
Yeah, you and I were from the east.
We're from the south.
South. Sorry, the south. I was going to say Jay. I was from the east.
Jay was from the east, over there by St. Raymond's Avenue.
Now I know you listened to a previous podcast I did with JR.
Oh, I listened to it when it first happened, when you were turning me on to the Gritty Hour.
Yeah.
And then because I was thinking about when I was coming on with you, and I'm how fond I am of the McCarthy's. My family was close. My mom and dad were close with Marge and Andy when unfortunately Mr. McCarthy passed. I mean, Marge had all these children at home. The oldest was Andy. I think he was in the 8th grade when the pop passed away.
Yeah.
So I had it tough, but so I figured let me look on the Gritty Hour, because I was mentioned to somebody, one of our friends, I can't remember who, and I just locked onto it, and you guys were talking to. I guess it was from 2021. I guess because the pandemic schools were still basically closed. They were doing it remotely.
Yeah, I'm showing.
JR was discussing.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Timmy. I'm showing a picture of Parkchester so people know what the hell we're talking about.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's great. No, that's great.
It's like a real estate page, but it's the best I could find.
I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna put this on. I'm a big Facebook guy now. I'm like the master of.
Yeah.
No, not really. But there's that Parkchester group. I grew up in.
You're a social media, butterfly.
It was great because you got a lot of older people from Parkchester, older than us.
Yeah.
That are talking about their memories of Parkchester. So I put up. So it's great to realize that Parkchester was the same for so many years. That people experienced kind of the same thing. It didn't change a lot until I guess into the. I want to say early 80s when things.
Early to mid 80s when it started.
Yeah, well, that's when Helmsley took over.
It became a condominium place, right?
And that just fucking destroyed everything, man.
Yeah.
That was the end. Because people were buying their house, their apartment, and subletting it out, whether it moved out to Long Island or up to Westchester County, and that was the end of that. People were not.
You ever go down to Stuyvesant Town in Manhattan?
It's funny you say that. You remember Chip Conley, Kev Conley?
I know. Well, that's a case in point. He was a bartender. He went to school with my brother, so he's
Chip, right. He still works over at the Starling AC sometimes.
Oh yeah. Well, if he happens to trip over this, the statute of limitations is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But his brother Kevin, he bartended at Bronx Cheers with me, and we were fast friends for years, me and Kev.
Mm-hmm.
And he had put application into Stuytown. This is back in the 90s, I guess. And he got approved, and he got his apartment down there. And it was the exact replica of Parkchester. It was amazing.
It really is. I walked around there once, and it was like being in Parkchester. It's the exact replica.
On Avenue C.
Yeah.
Right off 20th Street.
Yeah, on the east side there, yeah.
The only difference was they had tank toilets, not like we had the pressure toilets in Parkchester. The only difference.
I don't know. I never went to the bathroom in there, but I did walk around in there.
No, I was in his apartment. We were hanging out. He used to crash in his apartment. We used to go to the bars.
Yeah.
Terrorize the Irish girls down there and go home and take a nap, and then go home.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show a few pictures so anybody that's watching us on YouTube that's not from the Bronx or New York, you know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, well, we also it was metropolitan life. It was basically they built both of them.
Yeah.
And it was the same exact. It was beautiful. I loved it. I mean, it was so great. It's still Stuytown's still thriving down there.
Yeah.
It's right off the FDR. It's right. It's very convenient. If you work, I mean, as much as people are going to work in Manhattan these days, it's very convenient.
Yeah.
But it's more expensive than the Bronx, obviously. Not that the Bronx is any cheaper. I mean, well, it's a disgrace what it costs in the Bronx nowadays.
Yeah, I know. Well, everywhere, you know. But what are you going to do?
It's terrible. Please, I mean, if you want to get into the politics, we will. But
well, but the pictures I am showing, Timmy, it does show people that it was relatively self-contained. You really didn't have to leave Parkchester.
Well, you had everything, Tom. So think about it, right? You had the grocery stores, supermarkets, right? Mm-hmm. You had the paper stores, okay? You had delis. You had Bakula's Bakery right on Starland Avenue. You had Steve's Bake Shop. You had Steve's Bake Shop on White Plains Road, right by Lane.
Carvel ice cream there.
Right. You had Carvel. Mm-hmm. You had Woolworths. You had the Macy's in Parkchester was only the second Macy's ever built in New York. After the one in Herald Square.
Yeah, after they closed all of them, they kept the one in Parkchester. They still there, as far as I know.
They cut it in half. It used to be the whole city, the whole block. Remember, but it's they made it into different stores. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's still there. I mean, it's still people. I talked to people from Trog's Neck and all different neighborhoods, and they said, "Oh, it was a big treat for them to come to Parkchester."
Well, I'm trying to find
shopping at Macy's and go to Woolworths and all that stuff.
I'm trying to find a picture of the building. You can't see what I'm looking at, but I'm trying to find a picture of what do you call that? The terracotta statues on the buildings there.
Oh, the we call them the gargoyles.
Yeah, gargoyles. Yeah.
And those things are going. There's a big push to preserve those things now because they are art. They were made by some. I don't know the guys' names, but they were famous Italian artists that made those things. There were no BS things you got from the. Hunts Point. Those things were made like legit. They were legit because when they looked at I watched a thing on. You watch those things on Channel 13. The walkthroughs they called them with that guy Robert Altman. ULTAN. He used to do with the.
He's the Bronx historian. Yeah.
Yeah, remember the guy? He's really a city historian because they've done all the boroughs. And they did the Bronx. And they did a big. And that guy David Hartman was with them too. The big tall guy.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of them shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said that when they built the buildings, they all looked at them. They were just big squares, big square buildings. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Stood out to them, and they said we got to put something on the buildings. That's how they got the idea for the terracotta statues on the corners.
Yeah.
And we didn't appreciate them as kids. We used to try to climb up on them, but that's a whole other. And they had that beautiful. My mother lived at 22, like I said. You live right over there. And they had the water oval in the middle with the gay sprites spitting the water.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Yeah.
Remember, we used to put stuff. People for every generation did something to that water.
Even as a kid, those statues were creepy. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were a little weird.
Yeah.
I mean, the naked guy spitting. You can make your own conclusion on that one. I don't want to offend any groups of this era. But you can make your own fucking assumptions on those guys.
Well, it's funny. Anybody listening to us or watching us, if you go back into our page on wherever you're listening to us, we did do I did do an interview with J.L. McCarthy, who wrote a poem called "Back in the Holy Bronx." And he mentions Parkchester because he's also from the same neighborhood that Timmy and I grew up in. And
I posted, like I told you the other day on the phone, I posted I re-listened to his voiceover of the Back of the Holy Bronx.
Yeah, well, we play the whole thing on that podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's 7 minutes, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
It talks about Fordham Road, Webster, all this stuff. All the places we went as kids.
Yeah, he captures almost the whole Bronx in one fell swoop.
All the different pretty much the nationalities, Irish, Italian, the Jewish.
Yeah, and the way
the Spanish, the black, everybody's in it.
I don't want to give too much away, but they grow older as the poem progresses. I think whoever might trip over this, if you listen to that Back in the Holy Bronx, you're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it. Oh, I think so, man. If you're not, I guess you'd appreciate it more because we're from the Bronx. But I could listen. We read stuff from freaking in high school from all these guys from fucking England, so they can listen to something from the Bronx. Quid pro quo here, fellas. Yeah, I know you guys are great over there. Your Charles Dickens and all those jerk offs. But listen to McCarthy, would you? Come on, give him a chance.
I don't know how many English people listen to this podcast, but there might be one or two.
I'm gonna post this in Woodlawn. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, we did have more bars than Woodlawn. Woodlawn, for those who aren't from the Bronx or New York, Woodlawn in the Bronx is a very Irish neighborhood, and they do have a lot of bars, as you would find in an Irish neighborhood. But Parkchester had more bars when we were growing up, anyway.
Well, yeah, we used to go over there. We used to get all sorts of mischief over there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those Irish girls love the American boys, let me tell you. Yeah. Had a lot of fun over there. And McLean Avenue runs into it. McLean is technically Yonkers, because right at the end of Kimball Avenue, it starts into but it's basically the same neighborhood. It's right on the
Bronx-Yonkers border, yeah.
Yeah, but you do cross into technically into Westchester County.
Yeah.
But it's like walking distance. It's like us walking over to Starling Avenue or to Morris Park. Like Morris Park is right over the East Tremont. As you're going across White Plains Road. As you're walking up Unionport, it turns into White Plains Road.
Yes.
And it's basically Morris Park. It's like right there.
Well, we forgot about the one hinge that kept everything together in Parkchester, and that was St. Helena's Church. And school.
Well, that was our church, yeah. St. Raymond's was on the north side of.
Well, for the people from the east and the south, where you and I are from, St. Helena's was the church.
You went, yes, you did. A lot of guys, a lot of guys from the north went to St. Helena's too.
Yeah.
But a lot of them went to St. Well, I think it was more of a convenience for. Well, the reason the church was built, as you know, was when they were building Parkchester, Cardinal Spellman. He saw that there was going to be an overrun of the Irish and the Italians moving up from the South Bronx. And he knew St. Raymond's couldn't handle it because we just not enough room, not enough classrooms. So he went to Monsignor Arthur Scanlon, who they went to seminary together. And he said, you have to build a church. And the Monsignor took it on. And 1940, St. Helena's opened up. They named it Helena's after Cardinal Spellman's mother, Helena. That's why they named it St. Helena's.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah,
and it turned out to be that also Helena was the founder of the True Cross. She was Constantinople's mother. And he was the guy Christianizing Europe, fighting the Ottomans.
Yeah. I remember when I
was going to bring the history, the knowledge.
Yeah, I do. You're a town historian. I was thinking just as you were talking. I think we discussed that. I think I was 11 when I moved to Parkchester because I moved from the Castle Hill Projects, which is where I was.
St. John Vianney. Sure.
St. John Vianney, Castle Hill Project. Me, Eddie Krampel, and J Lo.
She went to Holy Family though, Tommy.
Yeah. Oh, she did. Okay. Well, I went to St. John Vianney's, and Eddie Krampel, I don't know where the hell he went. He went to Monroe High School, actually.
I went to Monroe High School. Yeah. I don't know. It's funny. I don't know what grammar school he went to. He might have went to the one on Black Rock, the public school. I don't know.
It's possible. That's interesting. He always used to come to the Castle Hill pool every year to.
He was great. He did. Remember who was the guy? Eddie. What was his name? The guy.
The King in his court. King in his court.
Yeah, King in his court. It was Eddie. That guy. They were amazing.
Yeah.
Remember he used to go to second base blindfolded.
Yeah, he used to
and strike people out.
It was
amazing.
It was him and two other guys, and they would usually beat
it was three guys, right? 3 or 4 guys, and you couldn't get a ball past any of them.
No, they used to beat the actual All-Star team of the Castle.
And the Castle, we had some good players up there. Man.
Yeah.
We had really good ball players. We always had good ball players out of Parkchester for basketball and baseball.
Yeah. So I was 11. Well, I got off track. Sorry. Well, I was 11 when I moved to Parkchester, and somebody had told me, which I guess turned out to be an old wives' tale or folklore or whatever, that a piece of the original cross was in that cross that was in the church.
Yeah. No, that's legit.
Really?
Remember the orange cross used to hang over the.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. In the center of it was a piece of the original.
A piece of the true cross. Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
That's legit.
Oh yeah.
They got that from when they opened the church in 40. I'm almost 100%. Yeah, I'd have to get someone who would more. Maybe JR would know, but I'm almost 100% sure that piece of the cross was sent in from the Vatican. I don't know
Is that
what's the true cross they gave away. I mean, it was only one cross, you know. Maybe, who knows, Tommy? Listen,
I don't know.
all
It's
of being a Catholic and being a Christian is a lot of it's faith, Tommy.
yeah.
And if you don't believe, then you don't believe. There's nothing you can do if you don't believe. You know, I tell people all the time, well, all these people want everything scientifically proven. I'm like, you listen. If you remember the movie, the great old movie, the Song for Bernadette, about the girl from Lourdes.
Oh, well, yeah. Seeing the Virgin Mary.
At the end of the movie, remember, it was a great cast. Vincent Price was in that movie. He was a real. He was one of the aldermen who was trying to stop the whole thing because he was definitely a non-believer.
Now, what happened to that orange? I'm surfing the web.
They moved it to the side, Tommy.
Oh yeah, because I do see a picture of the altar here.
But yeah, I think they moved it to the. Well, they had that fire was it a year ago? A couple of back.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe before that, and it was only in the sacristy, thank God. And
I was trying to find a picture of the original orange cross that you're talking about.
You know, my grandfather, Jim Leary, he my grandparents were living over on when my father was a kid. No, not even my father wasn't even a kid. My father was born in 40. So the late 30s, all the Irishmen volunteered. They needed volunteers to help, basically be laborers for the building of the church. They had obviously skilled craftsmen that were building the church, but they needed guys to haul bricks and stones and all that shit and dirt and gravel. And my grandpa was always over there. I ended up moving into Parkchester in the 60s and becoming a parishioner.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture from the actual website of St. Helena's, and I see the orange cross on the right-hand side. So they have a big.
You do see it.
Yeah, it's on the right-hand side there, and it used to be all hanging down from over the altar.
Over the altar, right? It was always weird, that orange color, but
yeah, it was newfangled, like Shea Stadium, the new '70s look.
Don't get me started, Tommy. We blew a game last night. We should have won.
Oh yeah, well, you know where I stand with baseball, so.
Well, listen, you want to talk about that? We will, because I'll convince you the other one.
Nah.
Yeah, I will. Come on, it's in your blood, McKinney.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Bend it to hips, McKinney. Bend it to hips, McKinney.
When they bring Crankle back as a coach, I'll come back.
You're a hell of a slugger, Tommy. Yeah. Back in the old St. Helena's days, man.
Well, now I'm going to show a different picture with Timmy Leary. I hope people can see this one.
Put the one up with my coat of arms.
Yeah, well, that's the one I just put up. You still got the same sunglasses on, though.
Well, listen, Tommy, I was always a trendsetter. When you set a trend, you got to stick with it, Tom.
Right. I hope people can see it.
$5 glasses from the bodega.
Actually, I think it says O'Leary on it, right? The coat of arms.
Well, my family is O'Leary. Okay. Somehow my grandfather lost the O.
You had to pay extra for it.
When he got married to my grandmother, his marriage certificate said James Joseph O'Leary.
Oh yeah.
Mary Bridget Cronin was my grandmother, Mary O'Leary. And how the O was lost is beyond me, Tom. We ended up being Leary. I guess it might have been when he became a citizen. I don't know. And I think he tried to get the O back. He went to court.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, it was probably in the 40s or the 30s. And the judge said, well, Mr. Leary, it's going to cost $75. This is back then.
Yeah.
$50 or whatever. My grandfather said, I will leave it there now. James Joseph Leary is plenty of Irish. So that was, not that my grandfather was cheap, he just didn't have the money.
Yeah. No, that's, yeah.
I mean, how many people have lost their? I mean, I don't think he lost it at Ellis. I think he came into Ellis. Where is
he from in Ireland?
Well, my family's from Kerry.
Oh, Kerry, okay.
My grandparents are from, but both from Kerry. A typical Irish. They didn't meet till they got to New York, My grandfather's from Charlie, and my grandmother's from Lou Bridge and Glen Flesk. No, it was a great, like I say, Tom. We were talking about Parkchester. It was wonderful.
I'll tell you a weird story.
I have friendships to this day, like you and McCarthy and JR.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, so solidly based. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you a weird story. On Sunday past, I had a customer come into my shop here in Millbrook, and I have a sign behind the counter that says Donegal, which is where my grandfather's from.
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, you're from Donegal?" I said, "Well, my grandfather is actually Letterkenny, Donegal." She goes, "Letterkenny? My brother's moving there next week to teach some class. I don't know what the
Oh
hell."
Jesus, huh? Is that wild?
She goes, I've been there so many times. We used to go to Gweedmore and Roscommon or whatever, and
Yeah, sure,
my
sure.
father was close friends with a guy who owned a bar called McGeedy's Pub. That's what she
Oh, really?
said.
Was that your family?
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about, McGeedy's Pub?
Oh, Jesus. I always see I was telling you, Tommy.
That's my, well, I've been there a couple of times, McGeedy's Pub, yeah.
Yeah, you went over. I thought you're from Antrim, though. I thought you're from Antrim. Good
No,
people.
no, my grandmother on my mother's side's from Leitrim.
Oh, Leitrim. Why did I think you were from further? Okay.
Drumkeir
Is
and
that the
Leitrim.
west? Is that the west of Ireland, right? The west, Donegal.
Donegal's on the upper west side, yeah.
Yeah, the west. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so. Yeah. No, yeah. Listen, we don't realize as big as the United States is, as big as New York is. Forget the United States. Ireland is not a big. It's not a huge country, and this you could be from the north or the south or the west or the east of Ireland. And it's just amazing how you could, if you go like that. What was that game they used to play? The 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
You can always get to a point where you know somebody who knows.
Yeah.
You know somebody in your family, or it's just wild. It really is.
Yeah. Last time we were there, we ate at my father's cousin's house, and her son, which I guess they're all second cousins, third cousin, whatever the hell it is to me. The second cousin, the lady, her name is McHugh.
Yeah.
Bridget McHugh. Her son is the parish priest in Letterkenny right now.
Okay.
Father McHugh. So he was there.
It does. It just weaves itself. The Irish have so. They said that in I don't know if it was the United States for sure. They did a survey. I guess they did the last census they did.
Yeah.
1 of 7 people can trace Irish blood. 1 of 7.
Well, look at it this way: there's about 6.5 million people in Ireland today, and just in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, there's close to 18 million Irish Americans.
Oh yeah, no, we are. They say we're not romantic. We are prolific. The Irish foreplay, right? You know what Irish foreplay is, right?
Yeah,
brace yourself, Bridget.
So that's always been their biggest export, unfortunately, is Irish.
My grandmother used to say the best thing to come out of Ireland is Irishmen. She always said that.
Yes.
Always said that.
Yes.
And my grandfather would say, America's a great country. You get water from a stick.
By the way, on today is April 12th as we're talking. I know this is not coming out till the end of April, but on April 1st they released the 1950 census. You might want to go online, check that out.
Okay.
It comes out it becomes public 72 years after each census. So really? I already went through the 1941 with a fine-tooth comb, but I have to check out the 1951 was just released on April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you go for? What would be your website for that time?
That's a good question there, Mr. Leary. I didn't expect to.
Census. You don't have to tell me now. You can tell me off air.
And as I said the last time.
I'm so professional. Tell me off air, Tommy.
Well, as I said during the Lost episode, it's hard for me to call you Timmy or whatever. I've been calling you Leary for 30 years, 40 years.
Leary.
Yeah.
Well, I told you why Irish call each other by the last name. It's because if you go down and say, well, the old days in our neighborhood, if you yell freaking Tommy, 7 guys would turn around. If you yelled Kevin, how many Kevins do we know?
Yeah.
I know. I can name 5 Kevins off the top of my head, and if I thought about it, I'd get to 10. Kev Conley, Kev Condon, Kevin Brady. I mean, it was so many. You had to yell the last name. Yeah. And if you yelled the last name, then 3 guys would turn around. Sully. 3 guys would turn around. Yeah.
Well, if you type in 1950 census, Timmy, the first link that should come up is archives.gov. It's a free service. It's it's a federal government census.
Yeah, well, I figured that.
But they don't release it. They wait 72 years to release the.
Why is that? I wonder.
Well, I guess they're waiting for everybody to drop dead that's on the census. I don't know.
Yeah, so they can add and they can redact your name when you die.
Well, in case you're living at a certain address or whatever. I don't know. They wait
Yeah,
72
they
years.
because they listen. There's always, as much as I love America, and I'll always love America. There's so much canoodling and finagling going on. It just pisses me off in the government. The way it's not being run the way it was supposed to be run.
Well, it never was really, to be honest with you.
I guess it wasn't. Yeah. I guess Tommy, I guess it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't look to Tommy. I don't look back to Parkchester with rose-colored glasses either. We had a lot of fucking problems there, Tommy.
Yeah.
Like everyone in their own house had. We had great parents, and I would never ever run any of my parents down on publicly. And my mom and dad were the best. But we had all the fucking problems everybody else had. And you had a big family. I was an only child. Mm-hmm. You had a larger family, even though you were a few years past. There were problems. It wasn't easy, man. We didn't have it like we weren't going on oysters ice skates, man. We had all the problems everybody else had. But as far on the whole, it was a wonderful place to grow up. 100%. I mean, I would go back. We had it was hard. But it was just.
It was a unique time and place to be. That's
Well, I would say that, Tommy, because to this day, I have some strong friendships after in my 20s and 30s. But my childhood friendships to me are the strong. Like my crew was. I grew up. I mean, me and Paulie Curtin and God rest John Russell. We were the three musketeers.
And Eddie Groman.
Well, Groman was later. I knew Eddie from school, but we didn't really get close until I guess 11 or 12. Sports really brought me and Eddie together.
Well, Eddie was and is a sleeper. He was in my band.
He's a sleeper, Tom.
Yes.
You know when I'm sure when they do the behind the music of the sleepers, which they will. When they have it on I don't think MTV plays music anymore, but if they do, that will be definitely one of the first. You know the thing on the channel, the Reels channel, REELZ. They do a thing called Break of the Band.
Yeah.
They've been basically doing like Sabbath, the Zeppelin, the bands, all our bands.
Yeah.
And that'll be the Sleepers will be on one day. Don't worry.
Well, I went from being a
wild. How Tom McGee's wild lifestyle broke up the band.
I went from being in the sleepers in the band to being a literal sleeper. That's what I like to do the most.
You guys were great, man. I remember going to the Rising Sun and seeing you guys. That was great, man.
Which I hear is a strip joint now.
Tommy, I do not frequent those things, but I do hear women take their clothes off for money. If that's possible,
I've heard rumors to that effect. Yes.
I've passed a few, but I never actually got to. And I will, to my dying day, I will deny it.
Well, people always said you had a fat wallet, but they don't realize it was all singles.
Yeah, well, that's exactly, man, exactly. You know what Ralph kind of used to say when they were doing, remember Ralph, of course, we're big Met fans, Bob Murphy, and they would talk about. When Ralph would talk about what'd you do last night, Ralph? He said, well, once again, I went on my walking library and museum tour. And we couldn't find any of those open, so we went to a pub. I think that's pretty much how we grew up, Tom.
Yeah. If you listen to those, I'm sure there's a place you can listen to those old Met games with Tim McCarver and Ralph Kiner.
Yeah.
And you can always hear, I don't know if it's McCarver or Kiner, but you always hear them trying to light a cigar.
Oh, there's always loud, sure.
It always came up over the audio.
You know what's great about the old days, Tom? The old announcers, since we kind of went on that. When you watch when they would take a shot of the booth from like the center field camera, like the old guys like Jack Brickhouse, Harry Carey. Harry Carey by the seventh inning had 6 or 7, 8 or 9 empty plastic cups in front of him.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He was half smashed by the seventh inning.
Oh, he's more than half.
He was great. He was great.
Yeah.
Those guys were great.
Yeah.
Everyone's so uptight nowadays.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I love Gary Keith and Ron on the broadcast. And the Yankees have some good guys on their broadcast too.
Yeah.
But the old days, these guys were loosey goosey, man. They were great announcers. Don't get me wrong, but there was no like. oh, you can't drink in the booth? Are you fucking? These guys were getting stewed, man.
Yeah.
It was a day at the ballpark like we did, man. It was fun.
I remember we used to, me, Rich DeVal, Georgie Bauer, and JR, and all.
That was your crew.
Yeah, we used to hang out some nights in probably like a McDonald's. You know the McDonald's on U Grand Circle over there.
Oh sure.
If it was wintertime, we'd hang out in there, and there'd be a bunch of what we called old men, a couple of tables away, drinking coffee, doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I used to always listen to them because they were all like Korean War vets, and some World War II vets.
Sure.
And they were always talking about the '55 Dodgers and Ebbets Field. And now I feel like I'm that old man, and I always talk about Shea because the younger people, a lot of them don't, never even been to Shea. It's all City Field to them,
We're old enough to remember. I'm old enough to remember. You're old enough to remember the original Yankee Stadium. My father took me there
with the beams.
Right in I want to say I was 8 years old. So when the Giants, the New York Giants left the Bronx, then they bounced around for a couple of years, and they were building the stadium out in the Meadowlands in Jersey. My father got tickets with a bunch of guys from the Gander to one of the last Giant games. I think it was the Giants against the St. Louis Cardinals. So it was like December. Tommy, all I remember about the game was the game sucked because both teams sucked. And it was freaking freezing.
Oh, yeah. What month of this was it?
What's that?
What month?
December. Oh, December. It was the Giants and the Cardinals.
Oh, football Giants and
football. I mean the football Giants.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before
okay.
They moved to New Jersey when they left Yankees.
Yes.
When they closed the stadium, they renovated to the second iteration of the stadium.
Yeah, well, the one and only Jet game the only one and only football game I ever went to was the Jets at Shea. Was their home.
Oh yeah. I went to a couple of those too because my father. Listen, back in those days, Tommy, my father would, especially through the bars. Guys would just drop tickets off because the tickets were like $5, $6, man.
Yeah.
And if they had tickets they couldn't use, they would drop it at the bar and say, "Hey, tell the guy use them, give it to somebody." And my father would snap it up and give the guy whatever, or buy him a drink the next time you saw him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. My father, huge Yankee fan, poor guy, and he would take me to the Mets, man. Every time he got to the fucking toll booth.
Well, how the hell did you become a Met fan then?
How did I become a Met fan?
Yeah.
I don't know, Tom. I think the Mets. I'm born in '65. Okay, so I don't remember baseball until maybe 71, 72, and the Mets were pretty good, and the Yankees weren't so good, maybe. And the guys, we were split in Parkchester with the Bronx. Half the guys were Yankee fans, half the guys were Mets.
Well, that's around the time that, because that's mainly when I started following it too. 70. I mean, I remember
7 or 8, but I played Little League. So
I have a vague memory of getting out of school early because the Mets were playing in the series in '69. But I didn't have any, I wasn't really cognizant of what.
I was 4 years old. My mom said I was sitting in front of the TV with her and my dad, and I was rooting for the Mets. I guess maybe I subconsciously became a Met fan.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say, Timmy, was '72 was when they got Willie Mays, the Mets.
Yeah, then '73, of course, they never should have fucking lost to the A's, but they did.
But for me, my father grew up because all my brothers and sisters were all Met fans, and my father grew up a Giant fan.
National League guy?
Yeah, he grew up not far from the Polo Grounds.
Oh, so he was a Giant fan.
Yeah. So and then when they left,
Coogan's Bluff. Yeah.
And then the Mets came into being. He just kind of latched on to that.
Well, see, a lot of guys, right? A lot of the Dodger Giant fans gravitated to the Mets.
But it's more rare, like yourself, a guy whose father was a Yankee fan, to become a Met fan.
Well, yeah, because my father never pushed me in any direction as far as sports. He let me. Well, I was good. You remember I was a good athlete. So I was a good baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
Good football player, good basketball. I was always a Nick Ranger guy, so I was okay there. But anyway, so my father, we would get to you remember this, a lot of people listening around our age will definitely remember this. As soon as we got to the toll at the Whitestone Bridge, and he had to get the quarter and throw it into, remember the basket? He had thrown it into the basket?
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck, my father, I was a little kid, I had my glove, I was all excited. And all I can remember is my father crossing that. Why the fuck are we going over this goddamn bridge to see this effing Little League team in Queens. Well, we got a perfectly good team in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. I said, but Daddy, I like him. But he, to his credit, when we got there, we'd root for the Mets. He would secretly root for the Mets. Like, he was a huge Yankee guy, but he would always root for the Mets. He because he loved me. And I'll tell you the time with the Nuns that took the ball from me. So me and my mom and dad go to a game, right? My mom was a Met fan because she liked to stick it to my father. Mother, husbands and wives.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, got my glove, and we got pretty good seats, And you remember how Shea was set up. So now as a foul ball comes and it bounces around and it lands right on the steps.
Where are you?
In Shea Stadium.
No, I mean where?
I don't know. I think Tom, I'm 9 years old.
Well, to get a foul ball, you weren't in the grandstands, right?
No, we were down in the field level.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the ball bounces around and lands, and I go to get up to give my father, go get it. I was just shy kid. Go get it. So I go to get up to get it, and who grabs the ball? There were 4 nuns sitting like 2 rows behind us, and she grabs the ball right before I grab it, and she goes back to her seat. And my father's cursing, "Goddamn penguins! I'm gonna get that ball from her." My mother goes, "Jimmy, calm down." My father was crazy,
Well, she was gonna,
but he was a tough guy,
She was gonna auction it off so she could raise funds to feed the hungry.
Oh, something like that.
Yeah.
You could have given the kid my father's screaming loud enough. They definitely heard him. You couldn't give the kid the ball. I mean, you're hitting the kid all week with your ruler. Could you give him the ball?
And she never gave you the ball?
No, of course not. You can right up a habit. I don't know what you do with it. I didn't want to know what you do with it. But it's a funny. Now I'm 57. I'll be 57 in September. I'm 56. That is burned in my memory like you don't know.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's a traumatic experience.
How childhood stuff. Like I can't remember the big stuff, but I remember shit like that. Stuff that is like I don't know if it psychologically damaged me. I'm sure we're all pretty psychologically damaged, Tommy. As because we are from the Bronx and we did grow up in an Irish house.
In a Catholic house.
The best part is about the Irish and Parkchester in general. It's funny how like I was saying early in the podcast, we were basically on our own for most of the day because our parents were working. And we made our own rules, and we had pretty much the rules that your parents had.
Yeah.
Because there was always someone watching us. We didn't think there was, but there was someone. And if you did something out of line, it got back to your house.
Oh, definitely. There's no question about that. Yeah.
It got right back. Your father and mother knew something happened.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Rich DeVal about this once before. It's like each of us growing up, at least at that time and place, as I say, we were just fortunate. We all had our own parents, and then we all had this extended parentage.
1,000%, Tommy.
Your mother was like a substitute mother, and Richie's parents and George's parents.
Dottie Curtin, Mr. and Mrs. Curtin, Paul's parents, and his parents.
Mrs. McCarthy, Marge McCarthy.
We had I had Mr. and Mrs. Russell, John Russell's parents.
Yeah, we're all like substitutes, when your parents went around.
Building, like we had people. It was my floor was an older floor.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the second floor in 2049.
Uh-huh.
But the old timers, they saw me like my mom. When I first went back to work, I was little. I didn't have a key. I was only 7. So my mother would get out of the bank by 2:30. But sometimes she got stuck, and I would be in the hallway waiting for her to let me in. And if someone saw me in the hallway, they'd take me right into the apartment. And the Shearings were down. The Pete Shearing and his wife and the wife's sister, May. She had the apartment. She had another apartment. So we had a really good floor. Oh, I love getting one. They took me in, boy, and I eat. Oh my God, did I eat? It was the best. Anything I wanted, man. They loved me. I was like their adopted grandson. They loved me. And my father would go down to see Pete. He was an old timer. He was an Irish American guy. Sheeran. Sheerin. So my father, I'm going to talk to Pete. So he go down and talk to Pete for an hour. He come back, he was sauced. Because Pete had the whiskey out. They were getting bombed, man. My father just went down. Like, my father was intelligent, really smart man. very good with numbers and money and with insurance stuff because he worked for Hancock. So maybe Pete wanted to ask him a question about something. Actually, 2 hours later, he's coming back in the house and he's sauced. That's what it was, Tommy. We all took care of each other, man.
Yeah.
I think it was great. I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
No, it was a very interesting time and place. It's a unique time and place,
And we had some wild people, man. Don't get me wrong. We had some problems. We had some big fights.
Well, everybody's got problems, Nobody's life is easy.
You had to fight. Let me tell you, man. You had to fight. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up, and I didn't want to fight, but boy, you had to fight. If you didn't fight, man, the worst part was that even if you got your ass kicked, which I didn't really get my ass kicked too much, thank God. I was a pretty good fighter. The worst part, if you didn't fight, you get tortured, man. You remember those days, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was great, Tommy. We had, and any ball was, whatever the season was, whatever ball, baseball, basketball, whoever had a ball, whatever ball we had, we played.
Oh, yeah.
If someone had a football and it was July, guess what? We were playing touch football. Oh, remember we used to play tackle touch on the concrete in the east?
Yeah, well, but there was like a foot of snow on the ground.
Well, not always. There were a lot of dry spots, Tommy, where you...
I was bigger than all you guys, and it turned into a let's see who can tackle McGeady game.
Yeah. And there was never a helmet that could fit you.
There was always like 5 guys trying to grab it onto me, and to see if I could get to the end zone before they knocked me down. That was
like Bronco Nagurski, man. You were just dragging people with you, man.
But
yeah. I'm hoping down the road we'll set this up. Hopefully sometime in May or so I'll come down. I'll come up and we'll sit down together.
Oh, you should come up to Millbrook. This is I'm a block away from your namesake, where your namesake had his LSD trips.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Is that near Canada? Is that near Canada, Millbrook?
It's just slightly south of Canada.
Is that what is that, by Ontario? How far up is that?
Yeah, it's in Dutchess County. It'll take you about the way you drive.
Being from the Bronx, we thought fucking Yonkers was upstate New York.
I know, but the way you drive, you'll be up here in about an hour.
I'll be there in an hour.
Yeah. It'll take you about an hour and a half, in all likelihood.
Well, you got a Metro North station over there.
It'll take you an hour and a half, and half you'll be on the Hutch, getting past Cross County.
But you have a Metro North station here, right?
Yeah, a couple of, like a town or 2 over.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I need to get up there without a ride, because I don't have a car right now, I would definitely jump on the Metro to come see you.
Yeah.
That'd be a home run, man. Listen,
and
you have a makeup room, right? You have a makeup artist and everything for the live podcast.
Yeah. In fact,
I'm a girl that comes in or a guy.
I just lit my ambiance candle.
What do you have, like a lava lamp? Put on the lava lamp.
Yeah, I got a lava lamp going. I got one lit right now, in fact.
Put on the incense, man. We'll do like a real hippie thing, man. We'll do the counterculture thing.
Yeah, Timothy Leary. Yes.
Definitely, man. But I was.
That's what we'll call that one. When you do the in-person podcast, we'll call it Timothy Leary Returns to Millbrook.
He came off the.
Yeah.
Maybe they put him on they put his ashes on the Hellbomb Comet or something.
There's some clickbait for you.
They shot him into space. I clicked on to because I'm a big internet guy now, So I went on. I googled songs about Timothy Leary. Holy shit! There's a lot of them, man. Yeah,
well, the Moody Blues, I think we're up.
Timothy Leary's dead.
Yeah, well, they were up here though. They were here in Millbrook. So was Dylan and.
Yeah, Dylan, the Who, the Seeker.
The band, Dylan, and all them guys. They all came to see Timothy Leary.
Yeah, right. Well, the song "The Seeker" by the Who. I asked Bob Dylan. He couldn't tell me. I asked Timothy Leary. He couldn't tell me either. They call me the Seeker. Oh. Yeah, so. But listen, my father used to bristle, absolutely get pissed when people said, "Did you name him after Dr. Timothy Leary?" My father said, "Are you fucking kidding me? That fucking fruitcake. I'm a Navy veteran. My Timothy is a strong Irish name. Patrick is a strong. I'm Timothy Patrick Leary. Mm-hmm. And James I took for confirmation. That's a strong Irish name. Don't ever associate my son with that fruitcake." He didn't say fruitcake, but I'm cleaning it up for some reason. I don't know why. He said, "Don't you do that." He said, "That's a strong Irish name. Fuck that guy. He's a fruitcake. F him."
Well,
he got very upset.
If you go even further back on our podcast list, I did an interview with a fellow by the name of Felice Manzi, who was born and raised here in Millbrook.
Okay.
And he had mentioned, because he had mentioned that when Timothy Leary first came here, he was a straight-laced suit and tie guy.
He was. I don't know how he was a Harvard professor, right? Didn't he? And I don't know how we got into the LSD thing. Well, the government. Listen, I don't want to get all fucking.
If you go on, if you go on YouTube, now that you're an internet guy, and welcome to the internet, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm like the Encino man. They just defrosted me, and I'm finding out about all this stuff.
If you go on there, you remember that show? Not Crossfire. What was William F. Buckley's show? What was the name?
Oh, yeah, it was Bill Buckley would debate people.
Yeah, what the hell was the name of that show?
Was it Face to Face or?
Something like that.
Firing Line.
Yeah, Firing Line. Right. If you go on YouTube and look up an episode, William F. Buckley and Timothy Leary.
Oh, he must have destroyed Timothy Leary.
They talk about they mentioned Millbrook because they both went to the Millbrook school here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and that's I guess Timothy Leary was a friend of the Dietrichs who currently own that place where he was. Yeah. They're a Chase Manhattan Bank family. They're not used to. They weren't happy about him going the whole LSD thing and having
no, not at all.
Having the hippies come up here. They would come up here for the weekends. You know, the toga.
Yeah, they go all that shit. I was never a hippie guy. We never got into that stuff.
No.
Not that I didn't experiment with certain things, but I didn't like that whole hippie fucking. I didn't like that shit. That was all weird to me, man.
It's still weird.
Although I love the way the girls dressed, but that's that's me, though. Always the ladies. The ladies, like my father used to say, them girls are gonna pull you around by your tickle stick.
And by God, he was right.
They're gonna. Oh, my father said. I said, remember I'm sure you had it when you were in 8th grade, and we used to go on the retreat. They take certain guys on the retreat to try to recruit us into the priesthood.
Well, I went there in high school. I went to a Sopus.
Yeah, we went up to Dunwoody. We went to Dunwoody. We go up there for the weekend, and we basically it was okay.
Yeah.
Religious, and you sit in the room, and it was just you and the Bible. There was no TV or anything.
Yeah.
So I'd come back all full of the Lord, and I was 13. I said, "Dad, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up." He goes, "Yeah, what do you want to be?" So I want to be a priest. He goes, "Really? That's great." He goes, "You like working Sundays?" I go, "Yeah, I don't mind, So anyway, so me and him were walking down McGraw Avenue. I'll never forget. Going toward the pub, of course, and it's a Sunday afternoon, beautiful weather. Two pretty teenage girls go walking by. My fucking head snaps around like it's gonna fall off my shoulders. My father goes, "Yeah, you're gonna be a priest." And that was the end of my priesthood.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to call in that,
Be Jesus, it's a tough thing, no.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sister, my mother's aunt, my great aunt Florence was a nun. Mm-hmm. Sister Florence Rita Leary was my mother's she lived next to my grandparents in 22 met, Rita Leary.
Yeah.
And Sister Florence. So I remember going to just having dinner. She was an old school nun though. I never saw her in civilian clothes. She was always in the habit when she was out,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it used to be, Tom.
Yeah, the nuns don't wear the habits. Very few of them wear the habits anymore.
They don't have to anymore,
They're in disguise,
They're not around anymore, Tommy. I mean, the Irish are not pushing out the religious like they used to.
No.
A lot of religions are coming from the more like Central America and Africa, the third world countries, I guess.
Well, that's why tuition in the Catholic high schools now are like what, $8,000?
I don't know, Tom. I don't know, but I know it's expensive.
Because they don't have the nuns and the priests teaching anymore.
Yeah, because they don't teach it on the arm.
And the brothers too, yeah.
Yeah, the brother. I had the De La Salle brothers over in St. Raymond's. So anyway, it was great, Tommy. It was a great upbringing, and I know I got to meet the McGee's and the McCarthy's, and I got to meet Tim and you all got to meet Tim Leary. So how could that be bad?
It can never be bad. Never be bad. You know, you and Jay are among a lot of people in my life, but you and Jay made me laugh more than most.
Oh, Jay, I'll tell you. Well, Jay, I see. I'm more of a quick joke guy. Jay is more of a theatrical. I'll get to the joke when I get to it, guy. You know. JR is so talented. He's so funny.
I know.
But JR is an experience. I guess someone said to me, I went to one of my reunions a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, obviously up in Woodlawn. I think Roman was throwing it with, and one of the guys from the old, it was Billy Monahan or one of those guys. We hung out for a good 20 minutes, half an hour, because we were. I mean, the whole thing was 4 or 5 hours, but I'm saying as far as just one-on-one. And he goes, Leary, you haven't fucking changed a bit. He goes, you're exhausting. He goes, I love it, but you're exhausting. I said, why would I change? I said, what do you want me to change for?
Yeah.
I mean, I try to be a nice guy, Tommy, like you are. But we don't suffer fools lightly, man.
No,
I can't take fucking stupid people.
I never did, no.
And as I'm getting older, I am becoming the get off my fucking lawn guy. I really am. I don't even have a lawn, and I'm telling them to get off the lawn.
Oh, I'm definitely grumpy, Leary.
Oh, yeah. I'm not grumpy, and I try to see people's point of view, but then I realize how fucking stupid their point of view is. So, I'm tired of everyone needs a voice. No, they don't, man. No. People are stupid.
No, suffer in silence, will you?
Well, you know what the problem is? Things are going on real quick before we end this.
We're not ending this until we talk about Freddie Romandetto, but go ahead.
Oh, Freddie! Oh my God, that's the guy. But the problem is, this country is kowtowing to a small percentage of people with ideas that in a million years I never thought we would consider. We have to go with common sense, man. Stop going back and stop judging people for what they did 250 years ago on the morals of today.
Well, we have reached a level of ridiculousness that I didn't think I'd ever see.
Tommy, I will say one thing though. I feel so much safer and better that they took Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben off the boxes in my cupboard. Yeah. Because now I really feel that we're progressing.
Well, somebody told me they're changing Cracker Jacks too. I don't know why.
Oh, they're changing it?
Yeah, why? Because it's anti-white or what?
Is it anti-white?
Well, Cracker Jack.
Because I'm allergic to peanuts, but.
Well, you did get a prize in there. You get a prize in the bottom.
They get rid of the dog too?
I don't know. They're changing it to something. Somebody told me that last night. I can't remember what the hell they're changing it to.
Are you serious?
I haven't had a Cracker Jack in.
Well, they changed it to not so Cracker Jack.
They're gonna have to change the name, to change the lyrics to take me out to the ball game now.
Are they really?
Well, it mentions Cracker Jack.
The Cracker Jack part. I'm sorry, you got me. Yeah. You got me, Tommy. I'm getting tired. My arm is killing me.
But since I'm blatantly promoting previous episodes of the podcast, we did have you're our second, I believe, our second phone a friend, except for our season opener. I have my co-host was Shawnee Boy, and he is sort of kind of on hiatus. I don't know if he's tired. He either got tired of doing the podcast or he's got a heavy schedule because it is the end of the school year. So he might come back, but we'll see.
Okay.
But we did in a previous podcast, we did like a review of pizzerias.
Oh, really? Okay, I can do that.
In fact, I think I voted Louis as number one. I forget now. Louis on
Waterbury and Crosby.
Yeah, Crosby Avenue there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you didn't put Jerry's Pizzeria in there. Jerry's was a good pizzeria.
No, we mentioned Jerry's, and I mentioned.
Oh yeah, Fernando was the guy you were doing it with.
Well, he was like a phone a friend for that one. Yeah, he came in because he's good. He's a good friend with a guy who owns Carmine's in Brooklyn Pizzeria.
Oh really, Carmine's? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have. For nothing. Let's get this straight right now too.
Yeah.
Brooklyn can kiss my ass. We're Bronx guys.
Yeah.
We push the boys away to beat up the men. Just want to tell the Brooklyn guys that. But I love Brooklyn. I had a lot of fun there. We just go to Sylvester's house. I did have a lot of fun.
Well,
I'm just breaking their balls is all.
Sylvester, I think, lives in Florida now, by the way.
Oh, Sylvester?
Yeah.
I saw him. I think I was friends with him on Facebook, but I don't see him on there no more, so I don't know.
His wife posts a lot. I go on Facebook like once a month, so.
Yeah. Oh, Freddie's one of the all-time favorites too, man. Freddie, Richie, J.R., Bauer. You know,
that's where I was
those
really,
are your guys.
no matter where I grew up, that's where I was really blessed in having a good crop of friends.
100%, Tommy.
Yeah.
100%.
As George Bailey would say, or as Clarence would say, no man's a failure who has friends, right?
Yeah, I know. He also had to jump off a fucking bridge to prove it, man. I would have let the guy drown.
No, I'm not going that far. I'm not gonna get to that point. You know.
I'm gonna do the McGeady thing. How do you feel, Leary? I feel so good I could spit in Potter's eye.
I could spit in Potter's eye. Yes, my wild Irish rose.
It's still one of my all-time favorite movies.
How could you not like that movie? You know.
I watch that movie every time it's on. I can't avoid it.
Well, I was watching it since before America discovered it. I was watching it like.
It was great. And then that Yankee Doodle Dandy.
My brother Steven got me into Wonderful Life when it was on at like 3 o'clock in the morning on Channel 5 on Christmas Eve into Christmas morning.
When nobody knew what movie that was.
Yeah.
You know, that got bad reviews when it came out from Frank Capra. They said it was too hokey and
too sugary, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, it's great.
Well,
are we wrapping this? Or,
yes, we are. We're over an hour. I appreciate it, but I could listen to you all night, Larry.
I know. I can't hold the phone to my ear all night.
Groman's right. It's exhausting but fun.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't Groman. That was Monahan.
Oh, Monahan. All right.
I've been exhausting Groman for 50 years.
Yeah. Well, no, I appreciate you coming on. So the next one we do will be in person up here in Millbrook.
Oh, definitely, Tommy. We'll set it up, man, because I'll come up on the metro if I have to. I don't mind.
You'll be my guinea pig because I'm in a different room and it's smaller, and we'll see if we can fit 2 people in
sure.
There.
Yeah. Give me a small chair so I can squeeze into it. That'll make me comfortable.
Hey, you look great on camera with that. Yeah.
See me sweat. I hope there's air conditioning because I don't want to be sweating on camera.
No, if you come up in the summer, I got the central air here. Don't worry about it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want my makeup to run on camera. You know, I don't want my eyeliner to run.
I'll make sure we have an ice cold libation for you too.
Oh, be Jesus, man!
Yes.
Don't be. He goes. Don't be threatening me with a good time.
All right, Mr. Leary, and again, I only called you Leary maybe once or twice.
No, I don't care, Tommy. If you don't call me Leary, I think something's wrong. Of course you call me Leary.
Well, in that case, thanks again for coming on, Leary.
I love it, Tommy. I hope all the success in the world, brother.
Yeah.
I'll definitely talk soon, man.
All right, we'll see you in person soon, brother.
Okay, Tommy.
All right. Where's the hell's the record?